everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Carvel Community Meeting. If you are watching this from home as a recording, we would love for you to come and join us live. As of right now, we are meeting every first and third Thursday of the month. We meet at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. We're doing this right now probably until February or kind of TBD, just as things wind down for the year and then start back up for next year. We won't be meeting every week, just every first and third Thursday with a bit of a break starting at the end of December and probably mid-January. So we encourage you to come and join us live if you're able to for the times that we are meeting. It's an opportunity for you to bring up anything you wish to discuss with the team regarding the Carvel tool suite, anything you need help with. You can come and meet the maintainers or just listen in. You don't have to actively participate. We would just love to have others from outside of the maintainers come and join us and get to know you a little bit. If you aren't able to join any of the meetings in person, you can come reach us on the Kubernetes Slack workspace in the Carvel channel or at Twitter at Carvel_dev. For those that are on the call right now, if you have anything you wish to discuss with the team, just a reminder, put that down in the discussion topics section. And anytime you are engaging with us or anybody in the community, we ask that you please read and abide by our code of conduct. For those that are using the Carvel tools, we would love to know more about how you are using Carvel. If you go to this issue that we have pinned on the Carvel repo, you can add a comment in there providing those details regarding any organization you're representing, the website to the organization, the country where it's based or where you're based, any contact information you wish to share, and details on how you are using any of the Carvel tools. You can also add your logo to that comment and we will add it to our adopters file for some promotion of your organization and just to showcase to the community what other organizations are using the Carvel tools. So for us, it helps when we hear about how folks are using the Carvel tools, how to improve the product, how are they using it, what could we do better, things like that. So we would love to know more about how you're using those tools. For those that are on the call today, please add your name and any organization that you are representing. This will help us keep track of those outside of the maintainers, see who's attending, and we can keep those lines of communication open. Some announcements, just as I said at the start of it, community meeting is moved to every first and third Thursday. We were previously doing every Thursday, but as we're winding down, we are just doing first and third Thursday of the month. We had a recent release for YTT 0.38. I know Carrie is going to do a demo over this in a moment, but Carrie, did you want to go over anything in particular regarding this release before we get the demo going?
Well, this is the first release that allows you to generate an open API document from YTT data value schema. That's, I think, the most important thing to call out here. There were a couple other additions. We've got a TOML built-in library and error message key suggestions for schemas. So if you have a key that's just maybe slightly off, we'll suggest you the actual key name. And then a couple other bug fixes and contributions that really helped out with this release. Yeah, if anybody else wants to call anything out, feel free to speak up.
Let's say the TOML stuff is something we've had some requests for. For example, container deconfig is in TOML. There's others as well. So it's really sweet that we got a community contribution to just now you can include that in your input and output in YTT. That's super awesome. And then some of those bug fixes are really relevant. Like if you needed to have a percentage sign in your formatted YAML, you couldn't do that before, but now you can. That's really awesome. And then we had some sharp edges that we've had some folks on the team really focusing on making the schema stuff easier to work with, which is great. We're trying to improve that overall experience. And we're going to keep doing it. There's more things that we want to do to make those improvements. Very excited.
Awesome. Thanks, Carrie and John. All right, looks like we just had image package release 0.23.1.
Yeah, that was like a quick release that we had to do a couple of days after 0.23 came out, because there was a bug when you were copying a bundle from a tar to a registry in an air-gapped environment. It was trying to reach to the origin repository due to a change that was done in 0.23.0. So if you're using 0.23.0, please update to the newer version. That's it.
Thanks, Joao. Okay, on to project roadmap updates.
I quickly made some updates to this. So planning is very actively happening right now. So that's why a lot of these timelines are still TBD. But these are generally some of the things that are going on, and we have started at least like some discovery, some exploration work around. The Open API document metadata and UX improvements. This is a follow-up release that will just provide a bit further customization of the exported Open API documents from YTT. Plan to start that soon. The timeline is still being adjusted, but we are planning to pick up that work as soon as possible. Some of the other work that's going on is the kapp-controller CLI work. I believe Sumik and Praveen have been running with this. And this is to provide a user interface for interacting with kapp-controller. Feel free to click into that link to see what is all the work that they have scoped out there, but they've been making good progress there. And some of the other things that we have coming up, YTT schema validations, Carvel asset signing and verification. I think we can provide probably more details on that stuff in the future. We're just somewhat actively in the planning stages right now.
Thanks, Aaron. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to share regarding their roadmap? Okay. All right, Carvel backlog. Is there anything outside of the roadmap that wasn't touched on that the team is working on this week?
I can share one thing that we landed in kapp-controller, which is going to be of tremendous interest to everyone at home who's also developing kapp-controller. Basically, we have the deploy script for deploying kapp-controller if you're iterating on your local changes. And we now have a dev-deploy script that runs orders of magnitude, one order of magnitude faster. So the old deploy script took a few minutes. The new deploy script takes about 20 seconds. And so there's a similar one in secret gen controller. So again, all the controller developers listening to the recording, you're welcome.
Cool, oh, good stuff. Thanks, Joe. Anybody else?
Yeah, there's one thing I can add that's about to land for YTT. We've had a sort of a standing issue around when you have plain YAML that uses the anchor and merge operator. So there's a YAML operator where you can say, hey, here's a chunk of YAML, and I want to reuse that exact chunk later in the document. You like give it an anchor, and then you reference that. Then there's a further feature there where like you can override values for keys that show up in that inserted piece. It's kind of cool. So you can have like a basically like a templated mini little template piece within YAML itself. So it's not supported currently in YTT as we're not able to, we haven't been able to support overriding map keys. But there's a PR that's in flight that's just about to land that's going to support that. And that's a little bit of a mini milestone for us because at that point, most of what you'd expect to be able to do in YAML, it will just pass through quite nicely as you would hope when running through YTT. Probably the last piece there would be like supporting emitting comments. And that's something we're definitely, we are thinking about. That's down the road quite a bit, but this is really nice because you might refer to third-party YAML in your setup that uses these features, these slightly advanced YAML features, and you'd have to do some rigmarole beforehand before you can include them in your set of YTT templates and stuff. So soon that won't be, so that's kind of exciting.
Great, thanks, John. Does anybody have anything else they wish to share?
Sure. So there was a question from a user to set map keys dynamically from data values, and that can be done using text templating, but a user was not able to find it through FAQs or by search. So we added that in the reference docs and added it in the FAQ. Also added added example reference for such requests. And there is another a part of error message or hint message improvements we are working on to provide specific hints for Boolean values that can be replaced by AND or symbols. So these two are in progress this week.
And one last update that I'd like to provide is the track of improving authoring schemas and schema annotations. So in the needs review column, you see 521, that work is basically done of improving these error messages with the actual annotations in the text. And at the top of the in progress, there should be a story about returning errors when you have a schema annotation nested under an any type. So there was some confusion and some rough edges, as John mentioned earlier, around this. And this is the last step in this story. So we should be looking for some improvements there for authoring schema soon.
Wonderful. Thanks, Marcia and Garrett. Anything else?
For image package, it landed developed, so it will come out in the next version. The possibility to provide image package with the number of retries that you want image package to do when it fails. It has like a temporary error trying to connect to a registry. That is something that was asked. And we are working, and I hope that we land that before the next session, the next week at the next release, the ability to always tag images whenever you're pushing a bundle. So that work is in flight, and I hope that we can land that before we release the next version.
Awesome. Thanks, Joelle. Anything else? Okay. All right, Carrie, are you ready to do the demo?
Sure. Yeah, I can share my screen. All right, cool. So I just wanted to show a little bit about how you can use a YTT data value schema to generate an open API doc that you can use in many different ways. You can use it for documentation for your API. You can use it to deploy a package in your kapp-controller CR. It's a way to just declaratively state what is allowed in your configuration as inputs. So let me just start out from the beginning. We need to talk about what a data value schema is before we can get into an open API document created from a data value schema. So on the left here, we have a data value schema. You can tell because it's got this annotation at the top. It's got some schema annotations in it. If you're using YTT right now and using data values, you might be more familiar with a data values file, which might look like this. So it's got comments in it to describe things. It declares values inline. So some of the differences here are in a data value schema, it provides not only like the values themselves as defaults, but also type information. So for example, for your load balancer enabled, this value is defaulted to true, but it also provides type information. So this must be a Boolean. So if you're a configuration author, you declare a data value schema, your configuration consumers must include that information using the correct types. So like, for example, if we're going to use this, we've got this values file, schema file, and then just like a simple template here. Show you what that looks like. It really just outputs the data values. So if we run that, it should work. And it's going to be all the defaults in your schema overlaid with the values included in your data values file, right? So enabled was overridden to false because that's allowed. It's a Boolean. For arrays, you can declare defaults in your schema here. And any values included in your data values file will be added, right? So it's added up here. One of the benefits here is if you are totally messing up and you accidentally put something that is not a Boolean here, you try to run this again, you're going to see an error that actually prevents this from being templated. So it'll catch things before you deploy them. All right, so we're going to totally forget about this values file and only going to use the schema because really that's all that's needed to create an open API document. So these fields here, they can create open API keys. So for example, this can provide us documentation when reading your schema, so you know what this means, but it also will include a description key in your open API schema that has this string. The schema nullable will allow this value to be either a string or it can be null. And you'll see that reflected in your open API schema. So like, let's see what that looks like. All right, we're going to take our schema file and we're going to run it through this command in YTT, data value schema inspect -o for output. And it's going to be an open API v3 format. And we're just going to write it to a file. All right, so this was created. So this is what the OpenAPI document looks like that YT2 just made from your data values schema. And you can see everything under components, schemas, data values. Everything in here is the actual schema for your values. Everything above that is like header information that's used by like any other third-party OpenAPI tools that you need. This just makes this valid OpenAPI. So if you wanted to, like, I don't know, generate HTML or documentation based on this schema, then you'll know it's in OpenAPI 3.0 format. And then just, yeah, to highlight this, like, for example, load balancer that enabled, it's a Boolean and it defaults to true. You can see that right here, or sorry, right here. Yep, so it contains all of the type information that's in your data value schema. And any comments as descriptions, right? Right, so this can be used in a kapp-controller package. That's one of the use cases that it supports. And you might do that by having a package custom resource as a YTT template, for example. And say you want to put your OpenAPI schema in this OpenAPI v3 field. This acts like documentation for what values are allowed in your package. That, for example, like this package will fetch your configuration from an image and then template it using YTT. You can add values here, and you can read this OpenAPI v3 section to know what values you can put in your templates here. So what we got here is just this key. Let me show you the command we're going to run to make this make a little bit more sense. So we're going to just template this package, and we're going to include our OpenAPI document as a data values file, and we're going to name it OpenAPI and include that file as that data value. So that's what this is here. It's going to take that OpenAPI key, and it's going to get the component schemas data values out of it, right? So if you remember, that's everything down here. And then this is necessary because when reading from the command line, it's going to read it in as a string. So we just need to convert that into YAML so that we can access these fields. All right, so let's template this and see what we get. Yep, we get our package out, and it's got all of our schema here. So then we can deploy this and use it for our configuration. So that's really like the main use case that I wanted to go over today. The OpenAPI schema can be used for other things as well. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Thanks, Carrie. Does anyone have anything, any comments, questions for Carrie?
One thing comes to mind for me is, do you have a sense of like what the next steps are? Are there things that that we're going to do with this that's coming up on OpenAPI?
Yeah, so there's more improvements to come. So currently this is the first iteration of this. You know, it supports nullable values, keys that can be any type. It will generate a description key for you, but there are other things that we want to add. Like, I think the most immediate thing is adding a field for deprecated. and a field for examples so that you can basically just give an example of what a value might look like. And then there's another part which is upcoming for validations. So say you have more specific needs, your values need to fall within a certain range or need to have certain characteristics that are more complex that you want to express in like a validation. That will be added in the near future as well. And also, like, if there's something that you want that's in OpenAPI that, you know, is not currently supported by YTT, like, come submit an issue or put a thumbs up on the issue so that we know that you want it and we can prioritize that.
Cool. The other thing I noticed, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen again, that when you had, at one point you had like both the OpenAPI description of the schema alongside the YTT schema. That like you kind of have to scroll on the left side to see everything. And on the right side, you have all the same information, but it's compressed. I just thought that was kind of cool. Like, this is a reasonable schema here. I don't know, I don't know if it's the syntax highlighting or if it's just not as much text to parse, but I'm finding the one on the right pretty approachable. So I thought that's kind of cool. Like to be able to live in both worlds, maintain stuff in a concise expression, with this be able to participate in other tooling in the standard format.
Yeah, that's a great call out.
Well, any other questions, comments? Nope. Yeah, that was really great, Carrie. Thank you for showing us and providing that demo. If does anybody have anything else they want to bring up outside of the demo? No? Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today. And we'll meet again the third Thursday of December. And then after that, we'll take a little bit of a break. We'll update the agenda for when to expect us to reconvene for these community meetings. So with that, we hope to see you at our last community meeting of the year, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.